Hi, Dan Paulson here. In this video, I want to continue replying to an email that I got from Bernie, CptKnots, and there was some good points that he made in there. I covered one video already by itself of how we can read where people are coming from when they're not verbally telling us, when they're being deceitful, that we can see things maybe not as quickly as body language. It might take a little bit longer with verbiage, but eventually it emerges. And sometimes you get so good at it, depending on what they're doing, you can catch it right away. Depends what the experience is. Loaded questions and things like that, when they keep coming at you, you eventually recognize that this question comes from this kind of person that's going to be going this direction. They've got an agenda, and you can see that at some point. It becomes very repetitive. So you can just cut stuff like that off. You might not get there to begin with. And the biggest thing is you cannot be emotionally connected with it. When people are saying things to you, if you're mad, you're not going to see where they're coming from. You know, that guy's saying stuff to me, and I sit back and go, that's his problem. It's not mine. I'm not going to take what he says personally. I know he's got an issue. And you switch to seeing what is really motivating the individual's behavior as opposed to dealing with the behavior. The behavior is the final fruits. There's a seed in there that's going to emerge again. Don't deal with the fruits. Anyway, okay. You had another one. Actually, I'm going to jumble this up a little bit. I have, there's one I want to say first, is that you were talking about being teachable. We had been discussing how to learn and how to kind of discriminate, because so many people tell you so many things and you go, how do you know who's right or who's wrong? And, you know, my thinking is I just dismiss everything people tell me as reality, but take it as a data point. What I believe is what I see, not what somebody says. What I can reason for myself that makes sense. Anyway, we got to this point where you said, I always try to remain flexible and teachable. What I write may not necessarily be 100% what I believe. I always go back to my journals sometimes after writing them and see how my perspective has changed. Sometimes when I revisit, I'm kind of embarrassed with what I wrote, and I think, man, I was really far from the mark. And other times I think, wow, did I actually write that? Yeah, that's good. You know what? That's perfect, actually. That's a growth progress. If you look at that, if you go and look at my earlier videos, my earliest interpretations, you will see that I was not up to where I am now. And I'm getting ready to, I'm working on a video right now about the analogs. I believe I've nailed down that in the most basic form, the analogs are nouns and verbs, that we can spot them that readily, but I'm not quite sure yet. But it grows and it gets a lot of complexity and layers added on top of it. So I have to stick with simple verse and look at that a little bit more. But I already know that as I do it, oh boy, it might be wrong. We're trying to figure things out. And even if it is right, it's not going to be complete. It's just like a little crack, a little idea. And then we keep looking at it. Once people are looking at it, it emerges more and more. As long as we're examining and picking things apart, we should be advancing. And to look back on something in the past and go, wow, I didn't have it back then. Yeah, that's good. We started from bad places, didn't we? We're making progress. That's good. Yeah. The biggest thing that I see with people today is people will post so-and-so said this or somebody said that, or bunches of people claim this. So obviously it's true. They're reliable people when, boy, that's not very, I don't think that's thinking very much. I know I've made this comment before, but just even I have a relative, an uncle, that because of one person, one story, one anecdotal story from one person that said they had a near-death experience and came back with stories of Jesus, that's all he wants to hear. He's convinced right at that point in time. And there's a lot of people that are not that extreme, but there's people that say, boy, there's hundreds of those examples. Obviously, it's true. And I still take stuff like that as a data point and go, yeah, except that there's billions of people who don't report that. And every one of them that comes back reports something different. What are they seeing? Are they seeing something that's there? Or are they seeing the last vestiges of electrical, firestorm activity in the mind as it's frizzing out and images are coming in? I don't know. I've had dreams that are so real. I woke up and had to take a moment to realize, oh my God, that was just a dream. Whew, it's not real. The mind is incredible. Always question, because there's more to the story. If somebody says, yes, it's real because they said that, I don't take that as, okay, that's my proof right there. That is not proof. That's somebody's story. My proof is my experience. You're doing right, yeah. Absolutely. I've got an interpretation of a Jesus miracle that fits right here, actually, and that's about the feeding of the multitude with fish and loaves. That when you look at the story literally, there's a couple of variants, so we'll just grab the big pieces, not the details of how many baskets and things like that. There's more to it. But in the largest sense, we have a bunch of people that are hungry. They need to be fed. And there isn't enough to feed them. So the story is that there's a small amount of fish and loaves that are available that Jesus breaks up into pieces. And as he breaks it, it continues to multiply. And there's enough to feed everybody, so much so that in the end, there's more left over than when there was when they started. So that would have to literally be, a miracle, some sort of a physical, supernatural event that we cannot replicate today. Jesus. Okay, when we get away from that and look at it as a spiritual teaching, and we understand we're feeding the souls of people, that the idea is that if you're teaching and you're doing things in this realm, that when you get done, there's more left over. And we see that unfold as we do this, as we're just trying to plod along, figure it out, sharing the ideas that it emerges. It absolutely does. We're seeing that miracle unfold. But it's a teaching, I think, that's telling us, hey, do this. You want to learn it more? Teach it to people. Teach what you know, and tomorrow you'll be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I taught that then. I know more today. And you'll teach, and the next day you'll be like, oh my God, I can't believe I did. It'll keep going that way. It does. Seek and you will find. Knock and it will be open. Those are, when you step into that realm, you'll suddenly go, oh my gosh, there's something happening up here. There is. You'll see it unfold. It's magic. It's miracle, which leads me into the next one of your comments. I'm going to go someplace different. I was thinking about the importance of naming, labeling, and duality, and it made me think of swear words. In my journal, I wrote that they promote strong viewpoints and emotion that strengthen the meaning and belief in the context they are used because they are stronger expressions. I'm still kind of turning it over in my mind, so I'm not sure if I've nailed it down yet. Okay, swear words, impact, intensity. I'm going to go someplace really bizarre. Let's set that off to the side, the duality, all of those things, and I'm going to suggest we go someplace else and we build an understanding, and then we come back and look at this. This is theory. And this is something that I've talked about before, and there are people that are very uncomfortable with this, okay? What I am going to suggest is that there are things that happen that appear supernatural. Things have happened in my life that, supernatural. You hear things before you saw it. You had something unfold that is exactly what you needed. That was so obscure and it involved somebody else that you're like, how did that happen? That's supernatural. And I've got that in other videos. I don't want to detail a lot of it here. I think you've seen it already. But I believe that's natural. So the burden I have in life then as I go on is, how do I explain that? You can look at things like that and go, yeah, that proves that there's something supernatural. And I go, well, it proves it happened. When I heard the words, Larry's dead, in my head before I found my brother, how did that transfer? What brought it to me? What kind of spirit transfer brought that to me, or something, or energy, or something? I'm going to suggest, if you're familiar with the work of C.G. Jung, the collective psyche, the collective conscious, or Nikola Tesla, if you want to know the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration, or close to that. What I'm going to do is suggest that there is a spirituality that we observe. There are things happening that gives us every reason to pursue spirituality, when in all reality it's natural and we're not figuring it out. I can't prove that, but I can imply that based on something. And what I'm going to do is make this suggestion. First of all, it has to do with our evolution, that as we are evolving many years ago, that we have five senses. We evolved to survive in a physical world. And when you look at us, we have to have a lot of fear and a lot of joy. It's very emotional based. We need to be afraid if something is going to eat us. And in that world, yeah, it will. We eat stuff, stuff eats us. You better be afraid if you're going to survive. You got to get away, and you got to find a way to get away. At the same time, you have to be cunning and catch and kill other stuff and eat it. We're evolving in this. We also feel joy. We can see, though, something that's coming, and it registers in our brain. We can hear roar, something off in the distance. It registers in our brain. But you might sense something from a distance, and you don't hear it, and you don't see it. You just get something feeling, and you look, and it registers in your brain, but it doesn't come through your senses. Where's that coming from? I believe that we have those five physical senses, but that we also, that the central nervous system and the brain connects us to that unified field, and that is our capacity to transmit a very light field of emotion. Fear, joy would have been helpful and very healthy for a group. People on the outside seeing something fearful, they radiate some sort of a visceral energy into that field, and people off in the distance, the sensitive ones, are like, come on, let's get out of here. Something's going on. They wouldn't even know. We're going to err on the sides of survival. So that's going to be very much a part of what we are that is still in place today. Okay, so what I'm going to suggest is that we evolved that sixth sense, and that some people have it better than others, but that everybody has it to some degree, and that is where we sense, we feel, now we have, since then till now, we've developed communications. Our minds are, we have more complex networking. I don't know that our minds are any better, but there's more complexity. I'm sure millions of years ago, you might have transmitted something that just, you felt fear. You radiated it through your central nervous system. It went into that field. Somebody else picked it up through their central nervous system. It registered into their brain from somewhere that didn't come through one of the five senses, but it's there and it looks magical. That's what I'm going to suggest is going on. That we exist in that field, that field is there. We don't practice it, we don't see it, and we get so crammed full of things up here that we lose capacity to sense it and to see it and to feel it accurately. But we weren't taught that. We don't know that. And that if we clear out all of the perceptions and the things up here, that comes back online, that we start going back into that flow. What we're looking for in life is a good flow in life. Metaphors can carry a lot. Let's make one up. An ocean, huge, round ocean. Big, huge, round ocean. And in the very middle of it is an island called happiness. And we're all over the place. Humans are all in and around this. There are people in the ocean that are close right by. They don't have far to go to get to happiness. There are people born on that island. They don't have to go anywhere. They don't even know what we're talking about. There are people like us that are born way off in distant lands where people rape, pillage, and burn. They hurt each other. And we're coming from that place. And along the way, we have to have a lot of experiences that get us from one place to another. But along the way, we have a lot of hurt and a lot of pain, and we can't get straight to that island. We keep getting steered off course. We get into these little eddies and currents that create anger and pain and arg, this, that. Different things are going on. Yet people close to the island don't have those issues. Some people can go straight there. Other people just struggle, and you go, what is going on? What is going on? Okay, now suddenly turn this into an energy-based ocean, and that we're operating in that field, and that the rudders that we're using to steer us to that are ones that we choose, that we want, but that we're carrying along with us all kinds of look in your own mind. What do you have in there, if there is anything? Do you have a wall up that only you would know? These are the things that hurt me. These are the things I fear. These are the things I think. This is the angst I have. This is the stuff I can't get a hold of. Anything actually that brings you off course from being happy, that's it. Anything that isn't okay with the final destination of looking for that inner peace, that is what is in the way. We rid those things. We're moving along in this energy-based universe, wanting to have things unfold for us in the Tao, in the flow, in the glory of God, being graced by God. All of these things based on our forgiveness, our healing, our letting things go, our becoming, I'm going to let that stuff go. I don't hate. I don't hurt. I forgave. I'm okay. All those little rudders are going away and we start making it to that island. All of that is energy-based stuff, though, and the swear words don't matter. It's the intention. When I was raised by someone who was raised in the South, and there was this idea that it was disrespectful to say what. So I was raised in a home where if you were called, you had to say ma'am or sir. And yes and no was not okay either. It was yes ma'am or no ma'am, yes sir, no sir, those sort of things. And if you didn't say that, it was disrespectful. But I remember as a kid being angry about things and thinking to myself that didn't matter. I even realized as a kid what do you mean? I could say, what? And that's respectful. I could say, what? And that's not respectful. I could say, yes, ma'am. And that's respectful. I could say, yes, ma'am. And that's not. It didn't matter what the words were. It mattered what the intent was. That's what carried the real energy, as within, so without. This is what is creating the rudders that steer us through the energy flow of life. Is that okay? It's not popular. It doesn't lead to a lot of things. I'm not suggesting that is what is real. I'm suggesting that that's a possibility. And I'm suggesting that I heard Larry's dead in that field because we're all there. And we're all sharing some kind of a consciousness. It's just a matter of how it gets from that nebulous place to your consciousness. That's a rare thing. Sometimes you go, I'm going to try to read your mind, and it never works. Other times the two of you say the same thing at the same time, and you're like, how did that happen? We see it happening, but it's not something we have good control over. However, I found that as I started treating it as if it was a part of the cosmic energy and a part of what I'm flowing with, and that literally up here, what I'm holding away that I don't want to deal with is creating my flow in life that other people are in. So that is what creates my experiences to unfold. And in order for me to change my experiences, the only way I could do that was to change up here. Boom, that started happening. It's not overnight, but it starts happening and it emerges, changes happen, and it gradually comes online. And that worked. But I could say that I mentally got to a weird place in life that a lot of people went, dude, you're whacked. And the place was this. When things were happening around me that weren't good and that were not okay, I learned to go, why do I fit here? What do I have up here that makes this my experience? I quit looking at the experience going, oh, and started going, why? If birds of a feather flock together, am I flocked here? What do I need to do? And that was pretty considerable. Then you have to go through finding, the fear. I don't want to deal with those things. I got raped. I raped somebody. I got molested. I molested somebody. I got stole from. We carry all kinds of things that we may not want to deal with. And we're afraid. We're afraid of the repercussions. We're afraid of what people are going to think about us. And, hey, that's what you're carrying. It's your baggage right there. It's what you're hanging on to right there. That's what's preventing success right there. Look inside. Stuff you're the most afraid of. Boom, that's it. You got to get over the fear and get that stuff out. Anyway, I didn't want to answer the rest of your comments there because I thought that if I put this out there, it would put your thinking in a whole different shift, and maybe that other stuff will come online in a different way for you. And I just wanted to offer this up as an idea. I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want to take away anybody's supernatural. I look for things that make sense to me that I can go with. Richard Feynman, I would rather have questions that I can't answer than answers that I can't question. And yeah, that's how I feel. Supernatural pops up, boom, you got answers. You can't question them. I don't do that. It doesn't work. It doesn't make me feel better. It makes me feel like, okay, I'm cheating. I'm lying to myself to feel better. That's how I feel. Not everybody does feel that way. That's how I feel. Anyway, we're all going to be a little bit different there. And I think I'm supposed to say something else here. This is an issue that I have had, and I think a lot of seekers might have as you're going through life trying to figure out how to separate from people and create boundaries and create barriers. And, there are times where I have yelled at people in life where I've lost it, and I look back on it and realize I had issues. I had a lot of stuff to resolve. I got that taken care of. But there's other times in life that it seems different. Like I yell at people and it's not the same reason. And I've thought, is that okay? Is it not okay? Am I putting out something bad? And here's what I've eventually realized. So many people have a variety of value systems. I got this because I used to work in groups of two. There was a time where we were traveling like long hours a day in a vehicle. And whoever you got scheduled with is who you got scheduled with. And it would be all over the map with who you're with. People had incredible value systems. I can remember driving through towns or something, someplace where the high school cheerleaders are out there, holding up the signs, doing car washes in their bikinis and things like that. And, those could be my daughters. I'm like, hey, how you doing? Now I can't wash the truck, stuff like that. But you're with somebody that's like, ooh, yeah, look at that little, I'd like to. And you're like, oh, that's not okay. That could be my child out there. And you know what? That's not against the law. They will look at you like, what is your problem? We will look at them like, what is your problem? We don't share the same values. And that's just one example. They're going to have incredibly broad value systems sometimes. You're going to have very narrow ones, and they're going to be walking all over you. And you have to, at some point in time, realize that's what's going on, that your boundaries are being violated all the time while you're never violating their boundaries. And I don't mean that with everybody all the time. I mean that's just a frequent thing, and you're going to find that myself, there's times I will tell somebody that doesn't get it, you finally have to elevate, yell, swear, something. Let him know that's it. Shut up. No means no. And that's okay. You have to create your space from people that don't recognize that you need your space. And my experience as a result of that has been absolutely nothing negative. That has generated positive in my life because I am now cutting off the things that they don't fit. Yeah, they just don't fit. But then I ask, how do you analyze that? What's the intention? What is my intention with that individual? Is it my intention to hurt that individual or to cause that individual some kind of grief or anything like that? Not at all. Not at all. I wish the best for that individual. I want them to be happy. I just want to be happy myself. And this is a conflict that I recognize that they don't. I have to take care of that. I hope this video is helpful. And everyone else, it's just a theory. I don't know. If you want to get into the graces of God, forgive the people that hurt you. Find a way to find inner peace. God will grace you. If you don't believe in God and your life sucks and you want it to be better, forgive the people who raped and molested you and resolve those issues and your life will be better. Regardless of who's, watching over your shoulder. If you want to have a better flow in the Tao, then unname the things that are causing your life to cycle the way that it does over and over again. They're all getting us to the same place in ways that are very obscure verbiage in a time that I think, it's almost like we're trying to figure out their third layer in their biggest gaming platforms. You guys got something in here. You're doing something and we lost it. But I think, honestly, I think this is it. But I also realize, where did we go here? I think that if there is supernatural, that there's a scientific basis for it, that there's a reason for it, that nothing violates the laws of the universe. Even if there's ghosts, they're going to be abiding to some kind of universal law. I don't think we see that. However, we do see energy transfer, and humans can pick it up. Some visible, some audible, some things we can smell, taste, touch, and sense. That's the closest thing to something that makes sense in my mind out of everything I've heard. Anyway, everyone, hope it was enjoyable, and it looks like what? Like we're in a matrix? I don't know. Something is structured here. I think. I don't know. It's still weird to see. I'm still looking. Love one another. See you in the next video.